Yeah, sure. I grew up in the Rutland, Vermont area. Honestly, I'm like really passionate about just like helping people out and giving help again. And so that's probably my favorite part about this job so far is just like being able to help out the tenants like where I can, or help out the maintenance techs like where I can.
Yeah, you're doing very well. So we appreciate appreciate you being here. We appreciate your work. And
We should go to school now. We're just go out the graduating from high school. Actually, yeah, 2022.
2020.
Yeah, yeah. Invited my son Joe.
I do, yes.
Jim, this is Tyler Mitchell. He's our new,
I know.
to say, for a couple of weeks anyway, and he keeps coming back, so that's a great sign. Tyler, one more job. Just wanted you to say hello and look forward to getting a chance to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay. And so,
Yes.
8:02 a.m. Tenant.
I have two items that have been brought up to me since our last meeting by some tenants. First
Okay.
one. Tenants would be interested in joining the meeting, however, 8 a.m. is a bit early and could I be moved? And my response to that was, I think these folks all have other commitments more than we do. You all work. So, but they asked, and I said, listen, I promise you I'll bring it up. So there we have it. The second item that's been brought up and over the time I've been here are the older mailboxes our property or post office property because the edges are sharp. Some of the newspapers, people have sales flyers that they put in there get ripped.
Okay.
I've actually had a little small slice in the time I've been here because the edges are sharp. So I wasn't sure what we might be able to do, or do we contact the post office?
Interestingly enough, we buy the mailboxes, but they belong to the
Post
post
office.
office. So, we'll take a look at that. The other, probably while we do the signs.
Yes.
Signs on those buildings, starting to
Okay,
look
yeah.
worse for wear. So, thank
Okay,
you.
yep, thank you, that was it.
I wouldn't mind a consistent look.
Yeah.
Same mailbox.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's it for tenant concerns, as far as I know.
Just so you know, we used to meet Jim Crowley, well, both of you, used to meet it. But long time.
I don't remember any meeting.
Anyone?
Well, yeah, way.
Way back, yeah.
Yeah, with David and Doris, it happened 2 times.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
That
Well,
was
we can
good.
take a look at that. And I appreciate you letting people know that we're on the table.
I mean, it's one day a month, I mean, okay, if you get up literally one day a month, but I didn't go that far with it, and I can let them know.
And remember, they can always, both of those people have computer access, they can always view the meeting. I think it's YouTube or.
Okay, computer access meetings on website, because that will be the follow-up.
Okay, do we have a motion for approval of the minutes of the September 23rd meeting?
So,
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
I,
Carried.
So I won't go into great detail on this month's news clip. Governing publication, housing, and specifically housing. So I'm sure not be surprised if there's inconsistencies in terms of where money is flowing right now. Really relates to some grant funds. So much so that grants are being issued, for the notice of funding availability is being issued as before people have a response to a reply, they're being awarded. So it's kind of an interesting. Either.
Okay. Consent agenda. The motion for approval of the consent agenda. Aye. All opposed?
So under the action items, I don't normally bring new hire information to the, well, to bring the information to the board, but I don't see formal action. In the case of the Director of Finance and Human Resources, they're part of the board's and the organization's internal control processes. More specifically, if there was ever an issue in terms of the CEO, it would be the responsibility of the Director of Finance to bring that to specifics, but as it relates to finance, unauthorized expenditures, blah, blah, blah. So just for the record, I'd like to have the board ratify the appointment of Sarah Nell, the position of RJ Director of Finance and Human Resources, effective September 22nd, 2025.
Do we have two relative to resolution 2025-14 about the appointment of Sarah Nell?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay. Please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carried. And Sarah's appointed as of September 22, 2025. CEO report.
Sarah was up all night with something that's joined us this morning. Vermont Human Rights Commission, we'll talk in more detail in the executive session, but as you know, the grounds for housing discrimination, we have had communications between our attorney and the commission to try to resolve it. The tenant expectations are a bit beyond what one would reasonably see in a situation like this, but continuing those negotiations. We're meeting with the architects today. We're meeting with the architect and our project later this week to finalize the RFP for the Templewood Core electrical upgrades. As you may recall, we secured a civil engineer and Kisserling Engineering to come in and take a look at the cause and possible solutions to the amount of moisture that exists under the some of the buildings here at Templewood Court. So get that addressed at the same time. We spend a lot of infrastructure that would be subject to deterioration. So it's a slow process, but it's one that we feel in order to ensure that that investment is a good one. I want to thank Betsy and Carl for participating in the reviewing and scoring of responses to our request for qualifications for legal services. We only had 2 responses. One of them is non-compliant in terms of the requirements of the request for qualifications. So we have made the decision to continue our current relationship with Pratt Greenland. We've met with them. Sarah, Gretchen, and myself met with them last week or the week before. Just to sort of reiterate expectations around evictions. So we are fine tuning the contract based on those sections and hoping in a month. Staffing update. We do have a staff coordinator position open. It's been open for some time. We're casting to try to secure someone. And we hope to have a report on the success next month. On the area of bridge housing, we did have our contract was up for renewal with Government Regional Medical Center. We've exchanged drafts and hopefully we'll be finalizing that relationship. It's very, very appreciated partnership that we have with RNC with those units that are earmarked specifically for their use. Speaking of which, Mentor Connector lost one of their units out in the community. So they came to us looking for a third unit at Bridge, and we entered into an MOU assigning that third unit to them. And now we are looking at government reopens or when it reopens. We're looking at a program called FYI, which is essentially provides a 35-month subsidy to young people transitioning out of foster care. So it's very exciting. We need to get the state to sign off on it, which is something that has been an issue in the past. Indeed, why we don't have a program currently. But now that their contract for to provide the supportive service fees, we feel like we can move on that. But again, roadblock right now, in addition to the agreement with DCF, is of course the fact.
Is an unit available?
We had a unit available, and the timing was particularly auspicious in that Public Correction Center is struggling with their medium-term rental assistance, which essentially funded so that they made referrals to. So we're hopeful that some of the pressure will ease off of them so that they can get back into making referrals and having, as I said, the subsidy in hand. There are some other, if that doesn't happen, there are some other options that we can look at, including.
Is that the only one available?
What's that?
Is that was the only one that was available on the bridge?
The open unit?
Yeah.
Yes, it was an open unit, 1-bedroom open unit. Like I said, there was no immediate opportunity to secure that medium-term rental assistance. So, Mentor Connect is essentially paying fair market rent, actually last year's fair market rent. So, it helps us to ensure cash flow, and more importantly, it helps the mission of serving young people. So it's the timing was outstanding.
So Mentor Connector has three. Three disruptive.
Hospital has two. And
We have a total of 9 units.
9 units, but one is the site manager's unit. So we have 3 that were that have subsidy. Yeah. We may have talked about the conversations that we're having with Efficiency Vermont for these window mounted. They're a new product. There are 2 different manufacturers that have stepped to the plate. After being a bit deeper into what the expectations were going to be on the part of Efficiency Vermont, Gretchen and John and I made the decision that it wasn't a good fit for us in terms of the expense and the monitoring and just the maintenance issue wasn't concerning given the fact that these are new products and there's really no local service provider as of yet. So we'll talk to them one more time, but it was a very attractive idea, but the amount of effort and work and costs that we'd have to bring in all prepare the units for these heat pumps, and there's really no long-term application for Templeton Court because of the way that we were going to do buildings 7 and 8, which would have been fine. The balance of the site, the existing heat would be right under the problematic in terms of the effectiveness of those units. We'll meet with them one more time. If you turn the page. Page number 26 in your board packet, you'll see that we have received confirmation from HAI Group. That's the other grants that we'll be receiving to supplement the money that we have with the Temple and Court project. So I'll just reiterate the fact that the largest grant that they awarded in 2025 to support agencies in their risk control efforts. So, if you turn to page, no, let's, yeah. No, let's go ahead with the finance report. Penetrating for Sarah today. I want to start again by thanking Lindsay, who really through the transition during the time in which we not have a finance director in place. Thank you again, Lindsay. It's very great work. Budget actions are in the board packet along with the variance report, which you'll find on page 30. No big surprises here. We continue to run a balance in our HAP budget line item, and that's due to some additional funding, and that will sort itself out between now and the end of the fiscal year. Other than that, back to report, cash balance, the cash flow report you can find on the next page indicates that we are down in our reserves, but that's primarily because of the absence of some transfers into the operating account, which will occur in Sarah. Probably most notably was the Section 8 administrative fees. So I'm not concerned about that 804,656 pounds. Now, moving on to the next section, page 30. It starts on page. Insurance broker for health, dental, and benefits programs. And I just wanted to, you're probably fully aware of this. If you look at page 34, Vermont has the highest healthcare costs in the country. If you look, the U.S. average is $497, and here in Vermont, we're at $1,277. It's if you're wondering why health insurance is sort of front and center, it's because it's just not sustainable here in Vermont. So, and on the next page, Vermont continues to be a capital state. It's like any measure, you can see that we fall into that 12,077 to 14,381 range for the healthcare spending per capita. Moving on to page 35. This is a analysis of our premiums versus claims for January through September of 2025. And you can see our claims almost without exception. Well, starting in March, our claims were equal to the higher than the premium that Blue Cross Blue Shield was generating off of our account. This was a risk-sharing program. And so as a result of that, if you look at page 36, as it relates to renewals, under our current program, we would see a 37% increase in health insurance premiums for January 1st, 2026. Obviously, that's not something we can absorb. So we asked our representative to look at other options, including going back to the exchange which is a higher risk pool. The end result there would be a 12% increase. And then we also asked them to price out some other options, including EP and triad, which is new to me. And you can see in the case of the triad policies, we would save significant money. Despite that, the MVP and triad would less increase, and triad would be very significant increase. After much discussion, we have decided to stick with Blue Cross Blue Shield and absorb the 12%, and then start the process earlier next year of looking at a potential change. I'll remind you that the benefit, the actual benefits under our health insurance are somewhat mandated by our collective bargaining agreement. So we would have to include the unit in any discussions. But I think like any other employer, healthcare insurance continues to be a bear as it relates to. We have a 16-84% split. So employees pay 16% of the premium, regardless of whether it's one person or family. The housing authority pays 84%. That will go up in the next couple of years by 1 percentage point. But I think the real benefit, the extraordinary aspect of our health insurance is that all the co-pays and deductibles are covered through a health reimbursement account. So what that means is that we set aside a pool of funds every year to cover those deductibles, and then some employees are going to breeze through that deductible pretty quickly. Others will not touch it. So that money, unlike a health savings account, the money comes back at the end of the year with the health reimbursement. We switched to that a few years back. Yeah. And I just wanted to update you on that. In your board, in your board folder, there is it's probably overkill, but I wanted to provide you with the proposal from our insurance consultant, Acrisure. Let me just highlight a couple of things. If you go to page 8 of the package, the first part of it is pretty much boilerplate. If you look at page 8 of the package, you'll see on the far right hand side the replacement cost. Catastrophic situation, damage for at any of our properties. We felt like low, so we asked Acrisure to do a replacement cost analysis, and sure enough, they're only off by $1. So we're going to stick with these replacement cost numbers. The one we were most concerned about was Sheldon Towers, 277 square foot. But even the Templewood Court numbers seem low, but actually they're right on the line. So we're probably accustomed to significant replacement cost increases over the last few years because of supply chain issues and the availability of contractors, but things appear to be settling down a bit. So if you look at page 10, it outlines the various coverages that fall within our policy, and you'll see that there is we're covered for $100,000 for fine art, and it's part of why we don't pay more for that. And we did that because of we feel good about that because Vita's drawing. Vita is Lindsay's daughter. Vita's drawing. We have we have an appraisal at 100,000. We wanted to make sure that was covered. Yes, yes. And then I always like to point out to you, the board, if you look at page 16 of the proposal, you'll see that the third category down is called officials liability. And the board is covered for $1 million. Came up where somebody tried to go after the board of commissioners who had. And public officials, liability includes the board and myself, and then we have coverage for the insurance program. I also wanted to point out on page 17, we can only get so much coverage in the way of bodily injury and property damage and underinsured motors through HAI Group. And so we always ask for an umbrella policy to another provider that brings up to that premium. Sort of the state requirements for bodily injury. Moving on to page 19, we're needing to revisit this. It's about workers' compensation. The fact that the payroll number is inflated, so we'll see that. And finally, if you look at page 26, it gives you the summary of what we're going to experience in 2026. We have almost all the information in place with a couple of small things. You can see our total premium, expiring premium for 2025, the 24-25 was 157,375, and our renewal premiums are coming in at 164,906. We are looking for final machinery equipment, which is not quite that significant. In fact, maybe $1,000 more. Workers' compensation, that very well can come down once we confirm the payroll. We did see an increase in cyber liability. As you recall, we had a claim last year. There were other cyber liability insurance companies that our consultant could get a premium proposal from. But frankly, we were so impressed with the quality of the service that we received from our current cyber liability insurance that we stopped worth putting out the bid. And if you get perceived as you jump around every year, it's harder to get. Like I said, we were very, very happy. And finally, the agency fee. The Acrisure used to be Hickok and Morgan, and we paid them every year to insurance coverages. So money well spent. Remind you that although not all of this premium is represented by HAI Group, property, boiler. I didn't pull it up, but we reminded that we just received 300,000 from the HAI Group. That's about 2 years worth of premium. So that, Mr. Chair, concludes my report on the insurance renewal, unless people have any questions. I would just one final thing. The Hickory Street and Bridge housing in Mount Tremont are covered under their own separate policies through the limited partnerships. Through Housing Initiatives Inc. We've done, what I asked them to do is compare and contrast so as to ensure that if any excess coverage is needed, that's addressed in the final proposal. Yeah, so that's the insurance renewal. We're trying to make that as painless as possible.
We motion to authorize that.
It's in the budget, for 26, or it's in the budget by 2026, so we don't need formal action, but I always like to review it with the board, particularly the public officials coverage, because everyone should be assured. In the event that something should come up, we have the necessary coverage. Moving on, the audit, there are some changes to GASB, the accounting standards. And so the auditors need to do a deeper dive in terms of our relationships with the limited partners at Hickory Street and Housing Initiatives Inc. And they were able to confirm that indeed they're not instrumentalities of the Housing Authority, but rather affiliates, and in the case of Hickory Street, less than that. So we got through that process. We're still seeing some of the audit findings in the Section 8 program, and I think that the final audited financials will be in before the end of October. We continue to work with CBIZ during the transition. CBIZ is our fee accounting firm, and they've been helping not only in keeping the financial statements in order, which is their core responsibility, but also assisting with the transition to the new director of finance. So we're very happy with the services that we've received from them. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Occupancy.
Good morning, everyone. Since our last meeting, Gretchen, myself, and our area partners have collaborated on getting 2 new tenants leased up at our Sheldon Towers location. We do have a few more units, as you see on the board there, that will need to be filled. The 60. One of our tenants is moving from one of our upstairs units downstairs, so that one will be filled. Actually, already is being filled. And then we'll have to obviously turn over her other unit and get that one going. As far as the other units on board, the ones that Bridge Housing, Bridge Housing, we do have that one mentor connector unit open. We're waiting for them to decide exactly what they're doing there. And then the other unit is building manager's unit that is, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with that just yet. And then the other ones, as you'll see there in the make ready and pending, are ones that I will be leasing up. 1004 will be getting leased up this month. And the pending ones, there's a couple there, the 405 and 302. That's another transfer of tenants at Sheldon Towers, so those will be filled up. And then the other 3 there are potential evictions that may or may not need to be filled. But all in all, looking pretty good as far as units being occupied. And then we are getting our number down. Very happy with our number of days from turnover to lease up. We have them now in the low to mid 20s, which is really everybody. And Fran's memory said that we're the only housing authority in the state that has it under 30 days between really turnover and lease up. So pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that speaks to the level of cooperation between occupancy, Defense Department, and Gretchen.
And
Really,
maintenance.
And there's really everyone has a hand in that. So yeah, that's great.
And then to see the numbers, the bottom of the report of the number of people that are on our wait list, anywhere from 117 in Sheldon Towers, 165 here at Templewood, and then anywhere in the 150 size down to 4 that we're in the low to mid 100s for people on the neighbor wait list.
Just want to continue with occupancy since occupancy and compliance actually. Greg is working with the Springfield Housing Authority. We made the decision to bring in a independent entity to do our inspections for the Section 8 program. Again, because of some of the CMAP issues that came up last year, and I think we got more scheduled. We're required to do 14, but we bumped that to 20, knowing that there'd be no shows and what. So thank you, Greg, on that.
Hey, anything else on occupancy?
I think that's it for this month.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to property management.
For the turnovers and the lease ups, but I'm working on 5 evictions and made it clear to me the other day, she refuses to order escrow payments if the tenant is here in court. So we had to come back and file a motion for default judgments for that. So if we can't get the tenants to actually show up in court to help, then that's going to be
Is a huge departure from past practice. It's one that will have pretty significant ramifications. And for those who had the Rutland Herald yesterday, as it relates to the landlords getting out of the market, including 175 owner occupied duplexes, in which one of the 2 units owner occupant does not choose to deal with Vermont's landlord laws. It's yet another example of how the courts and the system are really, in my mind, and this is editorializing, contributing to Vermont's housing crisis. There's a lot of units that could otherwise be moved out. Yeah.
we did get 2 ADA ramps built, one for building 3 and one building for building 1. We worked with Eastern Star to get partial payment for one of the ADA ramps. All of the staining has been completed or Templewood Court, and 9 Tremont was repainted for options. I have at the end of the month scheduled to issue parking permits for shelving because the fights over parking spots are becoming ridiculous down there. And we did put a new sidewalk in front of 9 Tremont because it was pretty broke up and was causing trickle hazards for the kiddos that lived there. So.
John.
John, I'm not here.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Richard, what's the new judge's name?
I didn't catch her name.
Yeah,
Judge McManus.
McManus. I don't have the photograph. Sure.
Oh, joy.
So I just want to, sort of, I think, downplayed the number of projects that were completed during the summer season, which is sort of peak season to do anything outside. The project Hickory Street, all of the Hickory Street duplexes were power washed and stained, and they look just a ton better. And trying to manage these projects and everything else that's going on is a significant task, but it's really having some impact on our permit people. And I appreciate that effort. The other thing that I wanted to expand upon is we're trying to re-publish our periodic tenant meetings. We had one at Sheldon this month, or I think it was this month. And we really want to provide another opportunity for input. So if tenants aren't able to attend the morning meeting, they always have the option of attending the resident advisory board meetings. And we're looking at a regular schedule, utilizing the services of our embedded mental health staff person to organize.
Some property management?
Nope.
If not, we will, thank you. Section 8.
All right, well, we did not issue any new vouchers last month, it's surprise. But, we do have 3 that are scheduled, or were scheduled to close as the end of September, so October 3rd or October 1. There's 3 less vouchers.
I'm sorry, 3 less?
Well, 3 that expired.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And let's see, vacancy payments, I didn't total that up in there, so I apologize for that. But we had 4 vacancy payments from 3 from Sheldon and 1 from Templewood. 8, 9. Approximately $1,200 roughly, without a calculator in front of me. And Gretchen has been awesome about getting those to me in a timely manner. The EIB report is in here. I'm handling all of the EIB discrepancies now. And have been right on top of, gonna have to close your voucher if you don't respond kind of letters, setting up repayment plans if they have income that's not reported, that kind of thing. So, and that's all documented in each tenant's file. Let's see. I got this in here. The normal reports are in here for the cash flow and funding and projected half expenses. I think Kevin has addressed these in the past, like it shows a negative number, but some of the dollars that we've received from HUD have not yet been put into this report. So I think we're going to be even or pretty close to it. Cornerstone is the last thing on my list. The ball right now is in Cornerstone's court. The plan, which I'm hoping to hear this week, is to start the inspection process of those units in West Rutland and the lease up for the beginning of November. That was their goal. They did have a issue with a water leak, but it was reported to me that it was minimal damage and they only had to replace like some of the lower part of drywall on the first floor because the water actually drained down through the elevator shaft. So it didn't build up and cause a huge amount of damage over there. So hopefully next month when we meet, I'll be able to say, hey, we're leasing up, this many units over in West Rutland.
Thanks.
But just to follow up on Cornerstone, there are some outstanding compliance issues that Cornerstone will need to address before we can start the lease up process. It has to do with the project basing of Section 8 vouchers and the requirement around certificates of occupancy, certificates of substantial completion. Some of the documents. I'm going to need to remind Mary Cohen that we can't start leasing up until this.
Just a question, Kevin, on that. Do we need COs in West Rutland? Because they're in West Rutland, not.
What for the traditional
Gotcha.
inspection?
Okay.
Last month we reviewed the new payments. We reviewed the new fair market rents. And so we're working on generating the payment standards. Payment standards are based on fair market rent. They can go from 90 to 110% of what Ed says the fair market rents are for Rutland. We will need to open this up to a public hearing, so we'll provide the necessary notice, and then we'll probably combine it with depending on how many days we have here, we'll either combine it with a December board meeting or a January board meeting. The payment standards is already effective January.
Resident Services Program.
As Kevin mentioned, we have a SASH coordinator position open. It's been open for quite some time now, but I think the market's making that a little difficult to fill. But that is the only open position we have, so that's how it's. In terms of our embedded SASH mental health coach, we continue to get referrals and she's providing programming and continues to build trusting relationships. We have a van that has taken some trips at some of our housing sites. We have one scheduled this month at Woodward Court to go to Vin's. The van is small, so we can't take a lot of folks. The plan is to maybe try to do more than one trip, just so that if there's other folks sign up, we can get everybody. And there is room for handicaps, so if we need to have someone in a wheelchair, there's space. But that does limit the space for other folks. So we have one wheelchair spot, and we have one less for. But we're excited about that. We had our 2025 annual SASH conference. It was well received by staff. Unfortunately, I did not go this year. I think it's the first time in 14 years I haven't been. Probably the one I did want to go to, but it was well received, and folks enjoyed it. Referrals and wait lists. I think the last meeting I had mentioned that we have the capability to put our referrals on our system, FamCare. We are now actually doing it. So we have, I have put some referrals into the system, and it's nice. You can track them much better, and staff can communicate in there to say, you know, touch base with this individual for the first time, so I can kind of follow along and see where people are with their referrals and how they're. So that's good. Next in-person implementation meeting is in November at Town Street in Barry. So we'll be attending that. We have been planning for open enrollment that started October 15th. I've got an insurance fellow coming to both the sites to talk with folks about transitioning if they need to out of the Medicare Advantage. So that I think it's the end of the month. We've scheduled that. Also referring to Council on Aging if we need to for folks. We have had all of our flu clinics scheduled and attended. I have one actually tomorrow at Shelburne Towers and Temple Court. This year I scheduled two, and it's been nice. Rutland Pharmacy, we're partnering with them, and they're offering COVID vaccinations. So we have quite a few vaccinated. The VNA did only primarily flu vaccinations. So I think that's pretty much it. If anybody has questions.
Just like to add to Carol's report, there was a meeting of the designated housing authority for regional responsibilities for the various side channels. In by way of documenting expectations around panel side, I have drafted there was a board that each is supposed to be meeting minimum numbers of participants. I don't know what are. You can report on that next month. It's in the paper report. Yeah, I think it's a reasonable expectation that grant is going to fund the panels, so the panels should be reaching the number of people that are attending. So I'll provide you with a more in-depth report next month. Yeah.
So old business, new business. Going to executive session.
Sorry.
All those in favor, say aye. Okay, so we are in executive session.
Hey, everyone.
Everybody have all day.
Liz, it looks like she was way better.